on earth is going on here? What are we talking about? Talking about all the things that you don't want to talk about. Sitting here on the couch and I'm working, and somebody had left me this amazing comment on one of my last videos. It was a really nice long comment about their experience with some things like their diet and using colloidal silver spray for like deodorant. And it's really interesting they brought that up as soon as they had mentioned the deodorant part. And you can go back and read the comment. I'll put a link to the video below, because we're talking about the carnivore diet. Some people call it keto, I believe, which keto diet I think is a little bit different, because I know there's some keto products that are, you know, obviously they're processed, and I was specifically talking about non-processed foods. But and yes, I have used colloidal silver to wash out my mouth before, and I got to not using it for a while, but I never thought about using it for a little of the body odor part. But at the same time, I do want to say one of the things that I have noticed about an all meat diet, and maybe I don't know how much to equate this to the intermittent fasting. And again, my fasting window is kind of larger than the average fasting window, and I do move my fasting times a little bit, but just by an hour here or about an hour there. For example, some days I might eat at 1 and I might stop at 4. Other days I might eat at 2 and I might go to 6, or I might go to 4. So, but as long as it's after 1 for me, there's very few times I break that cycle. But here's the other thing too, and I do want to mention this because I completely forgot about until this wonderful individual, and again, I'll link the video below, and left me a comment about, and they brought up odors, right? And don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you like this kind of health, garden, art channel stuff. Anyway, is the lack of body odors and the lack of odors when you go to the bathroom. And I know there's always some odors when you go to the bathroom. I mean, let's be real. There is some odors when you go to the bathroom, but compared to when I was on a diet that would just kind of, I want to say now, experiencing both of them, and the other diet most of my life, how less chaotic the experiences. Chaotic, is that the right word? Less smells, less inconsistency. Like at the very most, I know you have to drink a lot of water, because I have noticed you're more likely to be, or at least I did, for me, I was most like carnivore, that sometimes, how do you even talk about this? Like sometimes your stools are a little bit hard, so drink lots of water, and it can make it a little bit more. So that's just something to know health-wise too. But there are things I think you can do, and I know I have a tendency, I live in the desert, so I have a tendency not to drink enough water, not to take in enough liquids. But the other thing though is the smell is different, and it's not as strong at all, whereas other times you deal with soft or liquidy, or again, you can also too hard if you have too much white breads and stuff like that, breads, glutens, all that. So there's always, so the other way, not following the carnivore diet, there's inconsistency. Like you never know what you're gonna get. Like life, it's a box of chocolates and you just don't know what you're going to get. And when you go on the meat, for me, when I go on the meat diet, and I've just been sticking to meats and salts, or bacon and eggs, or just basically protein, it's been pretty darn just flat out consistent, like just consistent. The consistent textures, consistent, very lack of scents or smells. There is still a smell, but it's not like when you're just throwing anything into your body. It's the polite way, I think. I think I'm being polite here. I think I'm being polite here. Okay, so the other one is body odor. Now, that is definitely different. And yes, just like with anything, you still want to, like, whether you're sponge bathing, whether you're showering, whether you're bathing, you still want to wash the bacteria off. So one of the things that I do, just me personally, is because I live in the desert, and for a very long time living here, I'd wash so much. Your hands crack. I would be very flaky a lot because I'm washing all the natural oils off my skin. And so what I've done personally for me, and I know some people might be like, whoa, like not get this, and I think 500 years ago, think 200 years ago, people were not clean back then. It just, I mean, it depended on where you were in society, but even, was it Romans? I believe it was Romans and some Greeks. They bathed with oils. So they would oil themselves off and scrape off, and they'd also do the spa baths. They were doing sweat, but they would sweat. And they would scrape off all of the stuff. So anyway, I'm kind of presenting it that way because I don't want people to think, what on earth is going on here? What are we talking about? Talking about all the things that you don't want to talk about. Which is, so basically some of the things I do is I use essential oils, and because I like pretty smells, and I also use coconut oil. So not only is coconut oil something you could cook with or can cook with, I actually use it because bacteria doesn't grow easily in it, and that's why it stays long for so well. And that cinnamons and some of your essential oils are very antibacterial. So what I do is kind of like an oil wash. But if I do feel like it was a really hot day and I did a lot of work or anything like that, there's like before you go to bed or whatever, you sponge bathe, you make sure everything's clean and nice. But underarm, if I start to notice anything, the bacteria growth from the heat and from the moisture in that, right? Again, I'm not a doctor and whatever, just look it up yourself and see if you agree, and but anyway, so what I will do is I will use, especially if I just finished sponge bathing or anything, I will actually use the coconut oil and put on a really good amount on my armpits and stuff, and because I found that it helps reduce and prohibit bacteria growth, and plus because it's an oil there already, that it I mean, it depends. Of course, here in the desert, you're going to sweat a lot. But one of the reasons why we're inside right now, because it's hot out there. I've been doing a lot of videos outside, but it's hot out there right now. And it's probably, we're supposed to hit the hundreds, I think, today. We might even be over 100, I'm not sure. That and a little bit of essential oil, like I love peppermint. That's one of my favorite essential oils because I smell, peppermint, but I smell like spearmint gum when I put that on, and people, I have gotten good comments about that. So that's just some of the things that I've been doing, and it's just because somebody was wonderful and nice enough to leave me a comment in the last keto carnivore diet video to share some things, and it's a wonderful. I wish I could repeat the comment to you because it's quite long, and I really appreciate that feedback. Again, in the comments below here, like, subscribe, and let us know things that you've been using and working, like the wonderful person who shared with us before, because that's how we all learn, and we all kind of, hey, this has been working for me. And of course, always seek out a doctor and advice instead of having any health concerns or issues with any of these or you think you might. But yeah, it's been, and this is the other thing really quickly. I just want to say this really quickly because if we are talking about eating meat, the cats, I don't know how many of you have cats or dogs, and the odor with feces. Even when I change the cat box, so my cats are mostly on, and I say mostly because I feed them pure, like they get ahi tuna, they get salmon, because I look for salmon meat or ahi tuna just with distilled water and a little bit of salt added in and none of the other stuff. So yeah, they're kind of spoiled a little bit, but they do pretty much eat that. That's what they eat. Now, I do have some other people in the family that sneak them occasionally in processed foods. Now, the reason why I started really doing this with them is because one of my cats lifelong was a processed cat food eater, and it really took a toll on her health to the point where, I mean, yes, she's older, she's like 15, 16 years old, and although again, she's an older cat, but she also was for most of her life extremely obese. I had her on as much processed cat food, I just leave the cat food out, and she was eating like they're indoors, they're not chasing mice, they're not exercising, and she was just eating all the time like a person would. So I had to put her on a diet, but I was still giving her processed food and the stinky cat box all the time. My point is, since they've been on this and been on this for a while now, of the ahi tuna and salmon and just that kind of stuff, just basically meat. If I'm having steak, they get some of my steak, that kind of thing, right? Rocky doesn't mind eggs. Candy doesn't like eggs so much. But even this last time, it's so funny they left a comment about odor, because even this last time when I was changing their cat box, I thought it was interesting, and I've actually even forgot to change their cat box a couple times, that I'm cleaning the cat box, and yeah, there's that cat urine smell, but there's so much less feces smell. Like there is a difference in the odor. There's still an odor, but it's not like holy manoli, I'm gonna blah, you know, like it's a completely different, I don't know how to explain it, but to me it's a much cleaner, lighter odor. And I do know that they got a hold of, I think somebody gave them chicken a few nights ago. I don't know if it was from that specifically, because chicken that is fried for people, I don't eat it anymore at all, because it's fried in vegetable oils, which again, I don't need to go into that. You can actually Google that. If I have to go into that, I can make a video about that and pull some information together for you. But vegetable oils are not natural. They're not natural. That in nature, when you chew up the plant, it's in such tiny quantities, and we're bombarding our body with massive quantities of what and in a altered, processed form. Anyway, my point is it has been difficult for me, because cutting out everything fried in vegetable oil, when you guys all know I got a donut thing, is really difficult, because they're sticking it in everything. I was in the store the other day and I'm trying to find some different things, and I'm like, well, maybe this only has a few ingredients in it, and it had very few ingredients in it, but I'm really trying to stick to just 1 or 2 ingredients. And I was shocked to find on this particular thing, and I can't remember what it was, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, why and how are they, oh, you know what it was? It was a canned fish, and it had some kind of oil in it, and a vegetable broth of some kind of oil. And that's in this? Like, I couldn't understand why that was in this. And it's so weird now more than ever. I look at labels on packages and I'm like, why is this in this? Like, I can't even figure out, because I know when they put natural flavors on things, it's just a chemical to keep the flavor in the food longer, because it's being processed. It's not a natural flavor. It's the chemicals they put in there to keep the natural flavors, or something like that. It's not good. Anyway, so I just want to say that too. Don't forget to change your cat box if you put your cats on a natural diet. She was not that bad at first, but when she started to get worse, I pulled her off all the processed food, thinking, what else can I do? Hyper carnivores, that's what their bodies break down. But anyway, that's just something I'm doing for her, and I know for me, and on my case, and for her health right now, that so far it's been, she's acting like a kitten again. She purrs and she can meow again, and she is still restricting her intake on food, and I just want her to also really enjoy her days too, so we're kind of dealing with that, just her and me. The other cat, if anything, he's gained weight on that. But anyway, I just want to share that with you. Yeah, so I definitely notice a difference. I really think it's a better, lighter smell. It's not as surprise when you're on a diet of eating anything and everything in processed foods. That is definitely a stinky, I don't even know what's going to happen, and I don't know the consistency or anything, versus when you're on the carnivore, or you're eating mostly all meats and straight meats without any processing. It is a very consistent, and sometimes even less often. I know there's controversy there too. Is less often bad? Shouldn't you be going regularly every day, however many times? I'm like, I don't know. I really question that, because If your body's breaking it down and using up almost all the material, whatever's left is eventually going to come out, right? Anyway, I don't want to be gross. I'm already being totally gross. So leave in the comments down below what you've actually find works for you on controlling body odor. If you've also noticed, if you're on the carnivore diet or keto diet, a complete drop in body odor, like that you just seem to be noticing it or having it a lot less, or it's so much lighter. There is a difference. I mean, I don't know what to say, but there's definitely a difference. There has been for me anyway. So be sure to share with us so that we can all learn together, and yeah, have an amazing day. Bye everybody, love ya.